Excuse me, Mr. Chair, could you turn your microphone on, please?
Start again then. Good afternoon and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment Hearings for Suburban Panel Number 2. We are a City of Ottawa quasi-judicial tribunal that holds public hearings to consider Planning Act applications, including minor variances to the zoning requirements and consent to sever land. Our hearings are now in person at Ben Franklin Place, 101 Centerpoint Drive. We are also unable to enable remote participation, video conferencing for our registered speakers. We are live streaming on YouTube and the video will be archived and available for future viewing by the public. My name is Fabien Poulin. I will be chairing today's hearings and you can address me by name or as chair. And with me are my fellow panel members, Jay Baltz, George Barrett, Heather McLean, and Julianne Wright. The procedure for the hearings will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen from time to time are the applications we'll hear today. For the sake of efficiency, I may deal with agenda items in a different order. Panel members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we'll hear oral submissions relating to the applications. As part of the statutory public notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property in question before the hearing. They also had to confirm in writing that they did so, or they'll need to swear or affirm an oath today that they fulfilled the sign posting requirements. Otherwise, we may have to adjourn or postpone the meeting. The panel may ask for a brief presentation of an application followed by questions for the applicant and city planning staff. We will then hear from members of the public who have registered to speak and may also have questions for them. Finally, the applicant who has the burden of proof will have an opportunity to make final comments and reply. Please address your comments to me as the chair, starting first with your name, spelling it if necessary, and your municipal address for the record. All presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Exceptions will be at my discretion. At the end of the hearing, the panel may either make an oral decision or we may reserve our decision, which means the decision won't be delivered today. In either case, and within 10 days, the Committee of Adjustment will send the official decision and reasons for it to all parties, participants, and anyone else who has requested a copy. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure we'll be following today? All right, then we don't have any questions. We have several applications to hear today, but first we need to deal with some preliminary and procedural matters. Are there any declarations of interest from panel members? There are no declarations of interest. We don't have any confirmation of minutes to adopt, but we do have withdrawal or adjournment requests to consider. The committee has received a request to adjourn, which means to postpone to a different day. The hearing on item number 1. Sorry, yes, item number 1. 6950 Notre Dame Street. Mr. Hume, are you available? Is Mr. Hume by video? I see Allison Clark.
Hi there. I am not Mr. Hume, but I can speak to the application.
Okay, can you speak to the adjournment request, please?
Yeah, absolutely. We are agreeable to the adjournment request. It's just a mapping error that occurred. And as a result, the city requested an adjournment until the following committee date, June 20th.
So because it's a recirculation, we're going to have to do it sine die, but I'd like to just inform you that we have put it on the agenda for June 20th. It's just a matter of our procedures. We have to make sure it goes sine die first. You in agreement with that? You okay with that?
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'd like to ask city staff if they've got any comments about the adjournment request.
Thank you, Chair. No additional comments.
Great. I'd like to ask the panel to approve the adjournment to June the 20th, sorry, to sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your applications are being adjourned sine die. Thank you very much, Ms. Clark.
Thank you.
Next item on the adjournment list is items 5 and 6 having to do with 304 Olmsted and 206 Lewis Avenue. Mr. Jalkotsky or Ms. Jalkotsky? You available, sir? Good morning or afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Are you familiar with the adjournment request, sir?
Yes, I am.
Are you in agreement with that adjournment request?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair. I should say, though, that we've submitted all of the documentation requested by the planner last week on Thursday, and also submitted of the fee necessary for the recirculation. So we're hoping we can get onto the earliest date.
Same description or reason for the application being adjourned sine die is it has to go through the process. We have to have all the information we need to present to the committee at that time, but we'll put you on the first available date after all that information is available.
Thank you.
So you're in agreement with the sine die?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Any comments from city staff?
Thank you, Chair. No comments.
Thank you. And from our tribunal staff, we good to have this adjourned sine die?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So this application, I'm asking the panel if they will approve to have it adjourned sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands.
Are there any speakers, Mr. Chair?
Pardon me?
Are there any speakers on it? I just wasn't sure.
Hang on. I have a Christoph Jalkotsky and a Matthew Hadwin. Thank you very much, Ms. McLean. Mr. Hadwin, are you in the room? Would you like to make a comment or a question? I actually have some questions on this adjournment request. Only the adjournment request.
I support the adjournment.
Okay, thank you. Again, panel, are you willing to adjourn this application sine die? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Application adjourned sine die. Thank you very much, sir.
I was told by the adjustment staff that you only get one adjournment or something. Is that true? Or could something be adjourned the next time as well?
It may well be, depends on staff and the applicant.
My agreement has to do with consultation necessary.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, we should probably bring him to the microphone if we're going to discuss because of the YouTube.
good point. If you'd like to come down and sit at one of the microphones so you can make your comments so those on YouTube can hear you. Press the right button so that your screen goes green.
Is here?
That's right.
Okay. I'll just take, shall I, how much?
Well, sir, we're only dealing with the adjournment request.
German, okay. It's just as in summary, I guess I'll speak to this the next time when the adjournment takes place. Is that
Speak
correct?
to the application
I'll have about 5 minutes or whatever it is.
at the application
okay.
time.
It has to do with the need for consultation. The variance seemed small to the community. The sign wasn't posted very well. And in fact, there is no sign there right now.
Please
and things-
strictly be on the application adjournment. That's what we're dealing with today. It's just
Okay.
the application adjournment. We are adjourning sine die, which means to a later date.
Okay, but I'm asking if you could tell me, what does this mean in terms of the posting of the sign that you mentioned earlier in the procedures? And also the need for consultation. Sign die means, but where I'm being told that it's the next month. But what if it
No,
would take
sir, it's not the
longer?
next month. It's when the application has all of the information necessary for the panel to make a decision. So all that information has to be provided to our tribunal staff. They will put the information together, determine whether it's complete, and then move forward and putting a date on the application. So
Okay,
that's-
so then my discussions have to do with consultations and so on. How does the panel?
That's not relevant for this meeting today.
It's not relevant, okay. And about the signage on the property, which has
Again,
been
they will
removed?
they will be signing a declaration or taking an oath that the sign has been posted for the period of time necessary prior to the hearing.
Okay, but it hasn't been in this case.
We are not hearing the case today, sir.
Okay. All right, so next time then we discuss how the signage was, whether it was appropriately placed and so
Again,
on.
there will be a recirculation, has to be done. So the recirculation will require the tenant to provide all the information necessary, not the tenant, excuse me, the applicant to provide all of the information necessary for the panel to make a decision. Part of that is that there is a statutory declaration that has to be provided that the sign has been posted for a period of time required by by province to have it posted for that length of time so that everybody gets enough time to review that notice.
Okay,
So
and
it'll be done.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, for further clarification, sine die means there will be new notification and a new sign posted. So whatever was done in the past with the sign, it will be, a new sign will be posted with the new hearing date.
okay, because there's no sign there now, and community's been informed by letter, but my understanding is the sign would need to be displayed as well, I suppose, for anybody else beyond just the immediate neighbors and all that.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay,
Abbott.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, just a comment. We have had some difficulty here keeping the sign up. And so we've been passing by quite regularly. I just took a photograph a day and a half ago with the sign fully visible. I don't know how it's possible for us to necessarily guarantee this now, other than the fact that we go within 24 hours and put the sign back up again. It has been vandalized a number of times. We are having a public meeting, however, and we've been with the community association. And Mr. Hadwin has also been notified, as well as all of the neighbors are being notified of the public meeting next Monday.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask the panel then, again, if they're in agreement to adjourn this application, sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved for adjournment. Thank you very much, sir. Next application up for adjournment is applications number 7 and 8. This has to do with 25 Pinard Way. Mr. Goshen, are you available, sir? Mr. Goshen. I see an Ellie Goshen. I hope I'm saying that right. Or Eli. Good afternoon, sir, ma'am. I can see that you're here. You're not muted. Hello, Mr. Oh, now you're muted. Now you're not. Oh, I can see your face now, sir. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. No.
Okay, how about now?
Lots better. Could you turn up your mic some way?
My mic, I'm talking through my iPad. I can approach my iPad as much as I can. Is this better?
It's a little better, yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Good
sir,
afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Are you aware that there's an application to have this application adjourned?
Yes, I am.
Are you in
Yes.
agreement with that adjournment, sir?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so this application will have to be adjourned sine die. That means to a later date. Any concerns
Okay.
with that? Okay,
No, no,
okay, perfect.
no.
Any-
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, any comments from city staff or any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No comments.
Thank you. And I'd like to ask tribunal staff if they got any questions.
No questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to ask the panel for approval to have this application adjourned sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved to be adjourned sine die. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Good afternoon. Now, our last application that we have at least on file that it'd like to be adjourned is application number 9 having to do with 290 Montfort Street. Mr. Robinson, are you available?
Yes, I am. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Robinson. Are you in agreement with this adjournment request?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. And is city staff in agreement with this adjournment request?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'm in agreement.
Great, thank you very much. Now I'd like to, there's no, oh, no, just Mr. Robinson's the only one scheduled to speak. I'd like to ask panel for approval of this application to be adjourned, sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Application's approved to be adjourned, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have two items that right now are unopposed applications. And I'd like to ask if the panel has any questions on item number 2, 3954 Shirley Avenue. Ms. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wonder if I could ask city planning staff whether the distance from the closest part of the proposed dwelling to the high water mark shouldn't be measured on the applicant's property. So my understanding, maybe this is to you, Mr. Robinson, as well. The measurement it seems to be across a property line to the adjacent property.
Yes, if we were to measure it, it needs to be from the closest point of the river to the closest point of the building. I've had other applications before panel, I believe about a year ago, of an application before panel 3 on where the exact same thing happened, where the closest point of the river to the closest point of the building was not completely on my client's property. So it's a measurement from the river to the closest point of the building, not from the closest point of the river on the property to the closest point of the building.
And could I have city planning confirm
Yeah.
that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. This is an unopposed application, so basically there isn't any other questions unless there are some questions from the public on this application. Are there any questions from the public? Okay, so it's unopposed by staff, by city staff. I'd like to ask the panel to approve this application, given that there are no objections and no questions for this application. All those in favor of this application, please raise your hands. Your application is approved. Thank you very much, Mr. Robinson.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Second item on the unopposed applications list is 2059 Artistic Place. T. Eisner, are you available?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Eisner. We have this application as an unopposed application. Are there any questions from panel on this application? Ms. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, either to the applicant's agent or to the city planner. Typically, we would have a draft reference plan that shows the location of all the buildings and their proximity to the proposed severance line to determine, first of all, whether some may need to be demolished or whether or not there's variances required for setbacks. And I just want to confirm with the city planner that you're comfortable that there's no need for those types of conditions.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I am comfortable in regards to the setbacks to the existing structures. The applicant did submit a survey of the property showing the existing structures on site. And then I also reviewed aerial imagery and can confirm that based on the proximity to the proposed property lines, that it appears to comply with the zoning bylaw.
So just one further question. Would there be any of the landscaping company's structures on the severed parcel?
No,
So they're all contained on the retained land.
retained or the severed land. There's structures associated with the landscaping company on the severed land currently.
And that would be permitted?
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McLean. Yes, Mr. Panel Member Barrett.
Yes, another question to staff, Mr. Chair. I believe those structures are greenhouses. Are they deemed not permanent structures? Is that why the response we're getting?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. There are greenhouses and other tents associated with the landscaping company that's currently operating on the entire property. So those would be considered temporary and could be removed.
Thank you very much. Any other members like to ask some questions? No? Okay. So again, this is on the unopposed applications. There are no objections. Are there any questions from the public on this application having to do with 2059 Artistic Place? No questions. I would now ask the panel for approval of this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application is approved. Thank you very much, Mr. Eisner.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we'll move on to the applications in order, starting with application number 3, having to do with 504 Westminster Avenue. C. McQuaig, are you available?
Afternoon. I'm not Christine McQuaig, but I work with Christine McQuaig.
Oh,
so
I see.
I'll
Okay,
be-
that's fine.
I'll be Christine McQuaig for today.
Okay, what's your name?
Mr. Soor, Arjun Soor.
And can you spell that for us?
Yeah, Arjan, and last name Soor.
And your address, please.
So 43 Eccles Street, Unit C, Ottawa, Ontario.
Thank you very much. Before we begin, I believe the planning report needs to be amended. Having on item A, it's the interior side yard is now 0.8 meters.
Correct. Yeah.
And variance B, the interior side yard setback is 2.3 meters. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Can you please give us a brief description of your application today, sir?
Yeah, I have presentation slides if we can have those put up.
Sure, just a reminder that it's a 5-minute time limit.
Sounds good. Thanks. Okay, so good afternoon, Honorable Chair and members of the committee. My name, as you know, is Arjun Soor, and I'll be presenting our client's application for 504 Westminster Avenue. Next slide. So the property is located on the west side of Westminster Avenue in the McKellar Park neighborhood. Next slide. And you can see the OP designation in the zoning there. So I'm just going to go to the next slide. And these are the lots dimensions. You can see those on the screen as well. So I'll go to the next slide. And so these are some images of the property itself and the abutting dwelling to the south. If we can go to the next slide. So the proposed development is to construct a front porch addition and a carport in the interior yard, which will allow for covered parking and storage space. The existing front stairs and the shed in the interior yard will also be removed. In addition to providing covered parking, the carport addition supports the placement of an electric vehicle charger and prevents vehicle theft without infringing on the utility pole setbacks in the rear of the property. Next slide, please. So this slide shows the images of the proposed site plan. Next slide, please. And these are just the building elevations. Next slide, please. So the requested variance is to permit a reduced southerly interior side yard setback of 0.8 meters, with the total interior side yard setback being 2.3 meters, whereas the zoning bylaw requires a minimum interior side yard setback to be 1.2 meters. And the total interior side yard setback to be 3 meters. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to move into a discussion of the 4 tests, beginning with whether the variance is considered minor. So the proposed addition is considered minor as the proposed 0.8 meter setback is equal to or greater than the setbacks provided throughout the neighborhood. So you can see on the image to your right there, highlighted in red, most of the lots have interior side yard setbacks that are 0.6 meters or less. Including the abutting property to the south, which ensures that the proposed setback will be no more impactful than what already exists in the neighborhood. Additionally, no adverse overlook or privacy impacts are anticipated, as the extent of the reduced interior side yard is just limited to the carport itself. The closest windows from the actual living areas are 4.18 meters away from the interior lot line. And furthermore, the portion of the home that is to the south that would be closest to the proposed carport is itself the garage of the neighboring dwelling. So there wouldn't really be any impact to privacy at any rate. The variance is also considered minor, as 0.8 meters is still enough space to be able to move between the front and rear yards. And since the carport is open, a similar level of access would be provided to the existing condition. And finally, since most of the building is set back further than 0.8 meters, there's enough adequate light and air filtration still provided between the buildings. Next slide, please. So you can see on this rendering here how the proposed carport will relate to the neighboring home. As I mentioned before, the proposed condition is similar to the existing condition on the neighboring home, and there's ample separation between the actual living areas of the two houses. Next slide, please. So the variances also meet the intent of the official plan to provide for a wide range of low-rise dwelling types and ensure new development demonstrates good urban design in support of 15-minute community. The additions enhance the existing building and improve its overall design and functionality. They provide more space for the existing homeowners by efficiently utilizing available space on the lot while retaining appropriate setbacks and landscaped areas. And they contribute to an improved streetscape context and are appropriately scaled to the neighborhood. Next slide, please.
You have 1 minute left, Mr. Swer.
So the intent of the minimum side yard setbacks are to ensure sufficient space, sufficient access between the front and rear of the property and adequate light and air filtration. I've demonstrated as well that the proposed carport doesn't encroach any more than the existing driveway does already, and there's still through access. And since the northerly interior side yard setback is 1.5 meters, there's still through access provided on that interior side yard as well. There's also adequate light and air filtration, as I mentioned before. And since the proposed setback is similar, to other neighbors, the building will be appropriately separated relative to other neighbors on the street. Next slide, please. So the variances are also considered suitable and desirable as they add space and functionality for the existing homeowners. The carport allows for protection from the elements, prevents against vehicle theft, and allows electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Furthermore, by providing a carport instead of a detached garage, the homeowners will be able to provide additional trees in the future if they choose to. And the variances also result in a contextually appropriate form that is compatible with the neighboring dwellings, the OP, the zoning, and the municipal and provincial policy. Next slide, please. So based on that, it's our opinion that the proposed minor variance constitutes good land use planning. Next slide. And so now I'll take any questions or comments. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Does the panel have any questions for the applicant? Ms. McLean?
No.
Ms. Wright? Mr. Baltz?
So, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, questions. Two, actually. So the rendering shows a fence in front of the carport. I assume that's not permanent. That's a gate that moves.
Yeah, correct. So that is a gate that will be put in front of the carport. There's no zoning regulation against that. And that gate is just simply there because, these owners have had 2 vehicles stolen in the last 4 years. And while they wanted to be able to provide a garage, the conditions of the site with the utility pole setback wouldn't allow for that to happen. And so they elected to do a carport instead. So that still will provide protection for that car.
One other question, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
In the report, in the proposal, it says that the carport allows for storage and that the shed is going to be demolished, but it wasn't clear from the renderings where that storage is, just what is being provided.
So we can bring up the rendering, but it just allows them the option of putting storage under the carport, like instead of having something just stored on the driveway. A carport allows you to, put your bins and whatever, you can shelter that away from the elements. And it also gives you the ability to park a car there. So, people have what they want to do with different spaces, and so they can park a car, put their bins, everything.
But no shed or structure is being proposed for.
No, it's not a shed or a structure. No.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Barrett, any questions? No comments. Okay. And now I'd like to ask the city for the planning services to have their comments and comments. Yeah.
Hi, for sure, Mr. Chair. Are you just to clarify, are you asking for my comments on this?
I am looking for planning services comments. Samantha Gatchin, yes.
Yes. Hi, that's me.
Okay,
Sure. Hi. So yeah, I have no concerns with this application. I agree with the variances being requested, that they're appropriate and they do not have adverse effects as per my staff report.
okay, thank you. You only have one condition then, that these variances be tied to the plans filed with the committee?
Yeah, that's acceptable thing.
Okay, so is that correct, Ms. Gatchin?
Just clear, it's condition standard with committee process. It's not technically a
Correct.
condition I'm requesting, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you're okay with that, Mr. Sewer?
Yeah, that's acceptable for us.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to now ask the public if they have any questions or comments. Anyone online? No? Anything further, Mr. Sewer? I'll give you the last word.
Nope, just beyond what the rationale I provided in my presentation, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, panel, we have two options. We can either take a vote on this application today, or we can reserve and address this at the end of our meeting. What does the panel want to do? Reserve? Okay, we will be reserving our judgment, and you will receive notification of our decision in writing in 10 days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So our last application we'll be hearing today, actually two together, items number 10 and 11. Am I missing one? No, I'm not missing 10 and 11. This application has to do with 1353 and 1354 McMahon Avenue and 1349 Ridgedale Street. M. Segreto, are you available?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Michael Segreto.
Good afternoon. If you'd like, let's see, the panel's fully aware of what your comments and question or the application is all about. We recognize that planning department has no concerns with variances A, C, and E. Could you address your concerns to the variances B, D, and F?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. May we go to the
You'd like to do the application, the presentation? Sure.
yes, please. I'll try to keep it brief and simple. What we have in front of you right now is the proposed site for the 3 single-family dwellings on Ridgedale. Next slide, please. This is the R plan indicating part 1, part 2, part 3 of the newly created lots with the retained parcel in the back. Next slide, please. This is the proposed severance that we're asking. The variances that we're requesting is for lot area, which I don't think there's an issue with. With respect to lot width, we exceed the lot width on this property. Normally it's 9 meters, I believe, for the lot width, and we're just 1 foot short of 15 meters. With respect to the 15 meters, we are 1 foot short for a double driveway, and this is why I'm asking for this variance on this particular application. Next slide, please. This indicates all other lots in the particular area, the ones that are in green that are similar to the lots that we are creating on Ridgedale. In the subject property, you can see is in purple. Next slide, please. Now, this slide here shows the existing double driveways. There's approximately 20 some odd houses on this block that you can see. All the blue ones are double driveways that we've indicated. We've measured them 6.2 meters, 5.5, 10.5. So it's not out of character what we're doing here today. What we're doing is we're doing exactly what is in this particular neighborhood, in this particular block of houses. They all have 2-car garages. And as I said, I am 49, my lot widths are 49 feet. I'm 1 foot short. If not, I would be able to do the double driveway as well. And this is why I'm requesting this variance. Next slide, please. These are single lots that are very similar to what we're doing. which have double driveways. Next slide, please. So this indicates the variances that we're asking. What we've done is we've protected the trees as best we can. There's some trees that are getting impact very slightly, but what we did on part 2 is we've taken that house and we've slightly pushed it back in order to save the trees that are in front. So we did work very hard with planning and with the tree people to maintain as many trees as we can in front of this property. Next slide. These are all the trees that are on the property that we've discussed with the arborists, the ones that are being removed and the ones that are being retained. Next slide. Again, the trees that are going to be retained, the ones all along the back, all the ones along the front, and I believe there's some new trees that are being proposed on part 3. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segreto. Any questions from panel? I'd like to ask Ms. McLean if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I had a question on to city planning staff or to Mr. Segreto regarding the status, the use of this property. The notice indicates that there's 2 single detached dwellings on the retained land. Would this be a legal non-conforming use?
I can answer that if you'd like. Yes, it is, Ms. McLean. There are 2 houses that are on the property to the north of this property here, and it's been like that ever since day 1, I guess. So it's probably not. It has non-conforming uses or the rights to keeping the 2 houses on that one lot.
So to planning staff, when you're removing land from a legal non-conforming use, how is that dealt with? Would that require a permission application or?
Thank you for the question. No, it would not trigger a permission application. A permission application for a legal non-conforming use would be if we were changing the use of the property, or alternatively, you may require a permission application if you were expanding the use. So in this case, there's no expansion of the existing use.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McLean. Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions?
At this time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ballots, do you have any questions?
A quick question, I guess, through you, Mr. Chair. With regards to the double width driveways, where are they defined? Can a driveway be a single width all the way up to the point where it needs to become wider to access the 2-car garage? And would that be a single or a double width driveway at that point? And the second part of that question is, if that would conform to the zoning, could you not use that to avoid taking down at least some of the trees?
Mr. Segreto.
I'm trying to understand the question. As I said, we are 1 foot short on a 15-meter lot. This is why we're requesting this variance. With respect to, hold on a second, someone's just putting a bug in my ear here. Yeah, we have it. Yeah. My understanding is that at the widest point, the trees are being protected. Yeah. Okay, so the variance is at the widest point of the driveway. That's my understanding.
I guess I can also get staff to confirm. So even if it widens out right at the garage, it's still double wide.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
so to confirm for the public record, we measure the driveway at its widest point. So a single wide driveway would be 3 meters, and then we would consider a double wide driveway of 5.5 to 6 meters. And it's the zoning bylaw that prescribes the maximum driveway width, which is based on the width of the lot.
So I'm wondering if the concern is the trees, whether there could still be a variance for a double wide driveway, but tie it to plans that narrow the driveway where it passes the trees so that a car can get by, but the trees are preserved.
Mr. Chair, I could defer to our forester who's here if that would be an acceptable option.
Yes, please go ahead, Madam Forrester.
Thank you. I can quickly confirm that if that option is feasible, then that's no issue with me if that allows retention of tree 10 and 11. I can elaborate too in the sense that if the driveway conformed to the zoning bylaw, keeping with the 3-meter wide driveway, that would allow for a retention of tree 10 and 11, which are city-owned trees. And those are the ones that we're trying to protect here.
Okay. Mr. Baltz, anything further?
I guess I could ask Mr. Segreto if that would be an acceptable compromise.
Yes, I'm speaking with my clients as we're going through this, and they're fine with that. We're okay with that.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Moore, yes, sorry, Ms. Wright. No questions, okay. So to the city staff, basically the forestry, Madam Forestry, I wonder if you could just, so we're in agreement that item number 3, condition number 3 will be waived if a double wide width driveway is considered. Is that correct?
Are we able to confirm that those trees can be protected with an alternative design before approving that?
Well, I'm asking you, so Mr. Baltz described a scenario where you have a single lane driveway going into a double wide laneway. And the city staff said that that's a double wide driveway because it's not, by definition, it's a double wide driveway. Well, I'm asking you, if that's the case, then do we go ahead with the double wide driveway, and granted would be variance D? Is that correct?
May I respond, Mr.
Sure.
Chair? So condition 3 is requesting a revised site plan. So the intent of that condition is for the applicant to submit a revised site plan. I think this would work perfectly in this case where they are revising it to widen at the entrance of the driveway and then lessen to hopefully protect the tree, and that revised site plan, our forester would be able to confirm the retention of tree 10 and 11.
Okay. Does that make sense, Mr. Segreto?
Yeah, I spoke with my staff and they said that they can do that, that we would revise the site plan, yes.
Great. So, and then your condition number 4, double wide driveway for part 2 is granted with variance D. You don't have to have securities then. Is that correct?
We would like securities for tree 10 and 11 with a plan that shows retention of them, in addition to the other city trees maintained on the surrounding lots.
Okay. Are you good with that, Mr. Segreto?
Yeah, my client's good with it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
My client's fine with it. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. You're familiar with the balance of the conditions, Mr. Segreto?
Yes, I've read through all the conditions and I think we're okay with all of them, Frank.
Great.
I believe that we're fine, sir.
Thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask for questions from or comments from city staff. You have any comments or questions?
No further comments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from the public? Anything online? Don't seem to have anything online, nothing from the audience here. I now like to ask the panel if they'd like to consider this application and vote on it now or reserve judgment. Comments? We'll be reserving this judgment, and Mr. Segreto, you'll be getting your answer in 10 days in writing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your application, sir.
Okay.
Believe that concludes our business for today. Thank you, everybody, for your help today, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. Thank you. That's all right.